Yes.
Okay, I understand that. All right, so how did homework go?
I did not rewrite my values because I I was overthinking and underwriting, and also just generally busy as all get out.
Right.
So I did not get that done.
Okay. What about the other thing? What about the big one?
We talked. I don't think she gets it. So
Tell me how the conversation went. Like, how did it start? What was said?
how did it start? Well, it starts like all of our conversations, and it was, there's the initial pass of, hey, let's sit down and have a conversation, and okay, what do we need to talk about? Kind of like conversation,
Yeah.
and we didn't get around to actually having a conversation until like, I don't know, 11:30, 11:45, and I was exhausted. She was exhausted. We turned the lights out and we were talking, and she is she is so busy and stressed right now that I don't like. I was having to reinforce that these are not things about you, and it has no relation to you. And it's, I don't know. I don't know that we got a good connection. And she was like, okay, well, let me know what I need to do. So it was, it needs to be a time when we're both wide awake and present in the moment, not in bed in the dark, just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I told you exactly how I thought it should go down, and like
Yeah.
you're gonna have to take a break from your lives for 5 minutes. Just I know that you guys are both extremely busy, but you need to say, hey, I just need to talk to you really quick. You didn't do anything wrong. I just need you to understand. Like I don't feel like you understood this thing about me. That is something that I'm struggling to own and conquer. It's not
Yeah.
anything that you have to do. I just need you
But
to
I
know what I'm
mean,
going through.
I'm, and maybe she does. Maybe she gets what I'm going through, or at least has context for it. But it's like the non-response response is, to me, a bit frustrating and daunting. And I get that she has like a million things going through her head, but it's, I don't know. I need feedback and buy-in from her, and that's a different kind of thing.
And
If
so
that
like
makes sense.
yeah, but let's have some grace for her and realize that if you were put in a different situation, would you need to process this information?
Yeah, probably.
I mean, what would you say if the person you've been with, perhaps like you guys been together over 15 years,
Uh, 14.
so almost 15 years, dropped an insecurity on you that you loved this person for almost 15 years, had no idea it was something that they struggled with.
Yeah, it's gonna take some time.
Yeah, it's going to take a minute. Like, what do you say to that?
Hey, give me a second.
Yeah,
I'm
cool.
ordering some food. I am sorry about that.
No, it's all right, bro. You got to eat. That's part of the deal. Is we're trying to work around your schedule so you can get the things you need, and we can also work together. So,
Yeah,
totally doesn't bother me at all.
just trying to get my Starbucks app pulled up, and it signed me out completely, and it was a
Ah!
fiasco trying to get back in.
So, big takeaway here. Like, do you feel like even if she didn't receive it, you were able to properly package and give your major obstacle to her effectively? Like, even if she didn't receive
I
it, like, did you
so
get it off your
so
chest?
can we talk about that for a second, because I'm in the business of delivering ideas and thoroughly communicating those ideas to outside entities.
Mm-hmm.
And I have gotten to the point that I want to be able to say something, write something, draw something, give it to someone, and have them reflect that back properly so that I have an understanding that they understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
conveying. I don't have that in my relationship with her.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at. And it's I don't know how to make her more engaged in the process.
I mean,
So
so I understand what you're saying, and the reason
I,
why I
and
asked that question,
I don't know if that's me not conveying it well enough for her.
it's a mismatch of communication. Like, I can't say who's at fault, but there's likely some feedback on your part and some interference on your part, some interference on her part that's making your messages miss each other.
Right.
Which the way to clear that up is more communication, more practice, more, like, I've been encouraging you guys to talk more for as long as I can think of, because it's hard. Being in a
Yeah.
relationship is hard. Communicating well is hard. Kate and I
Yeah.
talk, we try to talk every Sunday. We've fallen a little bit weekly in the past few weeks, but it's it's difficult. And when we don't
Hold
do
on.
it, we get out of practice quickly.
I'm listening. Hold on.
Yeah, I feel you. So I think it's really, really important to, for one, practice that, but two, if you were able to effectively communicate, like, I mean, you feel like you delivered an understandable version of what you've been struggling with to her, that's a win. Like, that's something that you should be proud of.
Can't get unmuted quick enough. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I I see that, but I am probably putting too much weight into the idea that how effective of a communicator I am with someone else impacts my ability to believe that I have done a good job.
Hmm. I
Right.
understand what you mean. Yeah.
And I don't know. I think maybe that's part of what I've gotten caught up in is just the the delivery and uh, acceptance of the communication is not what I anticipate.
As has been the problem with a lot of your different obstacles, you are overcomplicating it. Like whenever, like we're talking about something that is, it's personal. It it's your own emotion. You're not going to be able to explain to somebody in a way that they feel what you feel. But if you take away all of the subtext that you're going to give, which I'm sure it's probably a lot for this thing, you're going to say, well, before I say this, like, let me tell you that this and this, and when I say this, it's not affecting you, and blah blah blah. Already the message is lost. What she needs to hear is, I hate the sound of my own voice. When I speak, I feel like it doesn't add value to the conversation, and I'm struggling to get to own that and conquer it and become a better version of myself. That's it.
And I may not have used those exact words, but that is the message that I conveyed. But then it was, I don't know what that means. And what do I need to do?
Mhm.
And it's like, I don't know. I just want you to listen, to understand, and process what I'm saying. You don't have to do anything. I and it's like crickets because it's like, okay, well that's that.
So, what I would say to that question is, well, what do you want me to do, or what do I need to do? Is nothing. You don't need to do anything. You don't have to do anything. What I want from you is for you to keep loving me. That's all I want from you, is for you to keep loving me. You don't have to do anything about this. It's something that I'm working on. I just want, like, I'm trying to be more open with my communication. So when you see me in my head about something, or you notice that I'm not interacting on a subject, you can start to factor that in, and know that it's not about me not caring about what you're saying. It's about me overthinking in my head my value to the conversation.
Yeah. Yes. And I feel like that's the part that it was. I don't know if I didn't say it well enough. I don't know if she didn't recognize what I was saying. Like, I feel like that portion of I'm not comfortable or confident in what I'm saying, and that's why I'm not participating, or I choose not to participate at times. That's the part that I don't know that she got.
Hmm. So I think what's important is, once again, you take this impossible task that you have in your mind and strip away all of the weight you're giving it. Like, it is a big emotional thing, but the task of talking about it is not big. Like, you're making it this thing that, well, we need to, we need a significant amount of time to talk about it. We need to be able to sit down. Like I told you, you just need to say, hey, Courtney, come here real quick. I'm just going to talk to you. I'm going to tell you something. Like, or I just wanted to revisit what we talked about
It's
last night.
literally just getting her time, right?
If you guys are in the same room, if you're in the same house, you can get her time. You have to prioritize yourself enough to say whatever she's doing is not more important than me. Your kids are very important, but they're not more important than you. They are as important as you. So if she is serving their needs in a way that is emergent, then hold on for 10 seconds and then say, hey, like this is really important. It's not going to take any time at all. I just wanted to revisit what we talked about last night because I need you to understand I don't need anything from you to do this. This is just what I'm working on and what I'm working through. And I just want you to know because you are my significant other. You're my person. And I need you to know what I'm struggling with and what I'm working through.
Yeah. And I let me back up. I know all of those things, and I know that her her baseline for those kind of things is okay, what can I do? How can I help? And that's what she does.
Yeah,
And I maybe I'm just overthinking it, and maybe she understood exactly what I was saying.
totally possible. I mean, and knowing Courtney,
I live in my head so much that I don't know if I'm communicating well if there's not engagement about what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
yeah,
And
that's
it
where
frustrates me.
you're gonna have to start to push yourself to be uncomfortable. You're gonna have to start being able to give people the information and just let them have it. That's your information now. I gave it to you.
I do
Do
that all day long. I do that all day long, right?
but I mean, but then it's not it's being okay with what they do with it. It's not disengaging from life and not caring if they'd ever talk to you again. Like that's the difference. It's like you give them the information and she's processing it. Like this is not something you're going to tell everybody that you work with, that you come in contact with. This is your wife. So
Right.
she's going to take this information and she's going to do with it whatever she needs to do to process in a way that she can turn it back into being of service to you. Like, because that's what she wants to do. That is at her default who she is as a person. She wants to be a person of service. She wants to do
Yeah.
things for
Yeah.
people. She wants to help you. She wants to make you feel better. And that's why her immediate thought is like, oh, what do I need to do? What can I do? What can I do? Is
Mm-hmm.
because she sees you hurting and immediately wants to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't tell her, I don't need you to fix it. I just need you to love me. She's gonna keep trying to fix it. She's gonna hyper fixate on the solution instead of supporting your journey. And that's what you need.
She's going to hyperfixate on a solution that may or may not be applicable to what I'm dealing with.
Yeah, it probably won't be. It probably would be what would work for her if she felt like that, which would never happen because that's not who she is. Like it, so it just doesn't work. I have that same problem as well, where Courtney and I are a lot alike. So whenever I have an issue that Kate is struggling with, if she doesn't tell me what she needs, I just start trying to fix it. Like here's the solution. Here's the solution. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try this? And until I hear, why don't you just listen? Because that to me is not a solution, but for her, that's a solution. For her, me being supportive and just listening is a solution. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, all right, okay. I needed to hear that. I'm sorry. I work on it, but
It's the it's it's responding with, do you want a solution or do you want me to listen?
yep, I've gotten much better at that.
Well, and I'm I'm getting better at that because that's something I've been trying to do, particularly with the children.
Good.
But I don't know. I don't know that I do that with Courtney, and I know she doesn't do it with me.
Mm-hmm.
Like she does not do that. So I don't know. But
I think for one, like you working on you and trying to get to a place where you're more comfortable with these conversations is really important. But also, once again, fostering relationships are important as well. So instead of being frustrated and upset that she's not doing what you need, understand that once again she's trying to be of service and make it clear to her that her support is more than what it's more than everything you could hope for. Like just being there for me and loving me as I work through this is more than I could ask for. Having patience and grace with me whenever you see me struggling with this is like going above and beyond. And then so she can feel of service by taking on a new challenge. It's like, okay, the way I can help is by not helping. Wow. Okay, that's gonna be different. That's gonna be new. It's gonna be hard, but she'll try. But you have to
yeah,
communicate that to her so she knows that's what you need.
yeah, yeah. And I don't know that I communicated that to her.
Get yourself in a mindset of assuming that when there's a breakdown in communication, it was your breakdown. Just that way, you never have a bitter feeling going into a conversation because that bitter feeling makes you misunderstand what they're trying to convey to you, and it makes your message come out different than you want it. So if you can just say, I'm not exactly sure what happened, but I'm going to assume that I didn't communicate exactly what I was trying to say in the correct way. So let me just come at this from a different way. What I meant to say was like I'm struggling with this thing, and all I need for you to do is be aware of it and love me anyways. That should take 2 minutes.
Yeah,
And if she wants to talk
yeah.
about it more, then
And
she'll make time.
I think she already gets that and does that. I'm oh, I have this subtext going on in my head right now. I don't know if you've noticed. It's just like I I have all these doubts about what I say, and it's just like I'm not confident about it, and I have no baseline for that thought
Mhm.
other than the devil in my head, right?
Right? Well, and what are we doing to combat that? Like we're already starting to combat that if you're doing your homework.
So the homework was like to synthesize these responses that I've given about my
Not even
core
that
values and
not even that part, just your daily repetition. That is going to help combat that devil in your head. Whenever you say something, you're going to like as you put those guiding values and beliefs into your subconscious, you're going to know I wouldn't have said anything like this because that's not who I am. So that thought that I just had, that doesn't mean anything. That's just a suggestion from the part of my brain that wants me to feel bad. And I'm not going to accept that suggestion. I'm gonna let that go because I know what I believe and I know what I operate off of. I know that little that little voice now, it doesn't have any clout.
right,
It's still gonna
right.
it's still gonna be there. It's still gonna exist.
I may have to add a uh, an extra value of just persistently saying just Elsa that shit because I I do that all the time. Like that's my default. That is absolutely my default. And I like saying those core values. Yes, I, I need I need to be able to tell myself that I can let those things go. The the one-offs, the negative Nancy's, the devil on my shoulder bullshit. Like it's bullshit.
Have you ever
I
heard
need
of
to stop.
The World's Greatest Salesman by Ajmandino?
Nope.
It's a little book. It's really, like I'm reading it. It's really good. One of like it talks about these 9 scrolls that can turn you into the best salesman that ever was, but it applies to all of life. And one of them is, I am nature's greatest miracle. I am nature's good because nobody was ever created as you were. You
Right.
are absolutely unique and individual, and you have the capacity to accomplish anything you can dream of. Most humans ever only use 10% of their brain. You ever only maximize like 20% of your muscle capacity if you are working hard.
Right.
People don't ever get close to actually reaching their potential because they limit themselves. So I would suggest adding something like I am nature's greatest miracle. So whenever you start to doubt yourself, you know that you were created in a divine light. Like you were created in his image. You were made to be what you were supposed to be, capable of doing anything that you want to. Like conquering that little voice that tells you that you're not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. That so I overthink all the things, right? And that's like in line with the thoughts that I've been going over in regards to combining these values in a way that's a bit more thoughtful. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Well, I think
Like
what you need to do is just actually sit
I
down
just
with it when you actually have a minute versus trying to rush through this deal at the last minute like we do as ADHD people. Like just
what?
just know that it is like this is something that you're investing in your own future. So sit down and give yourself 20 to 30 minutes to actually, you know, map out map out these foundational values and sit with them and make sure there's something that like actually feel good to you.
Right.
Like for one, that
Right.
they don't feel like this huge reach to becoming somebody that you're not. Like it doesn't need to be that. It needs to be uncovering who you're supposed to be and strengthening that. That's what those values and beliefs should be. Like because you're naturally a person who does like to think things through, who does like to be a little analytical. So that's something that you need to allow in there, but in a way that is, I am nature's greatest miracle, which allows me to be creative and to think out problems other people can't solve. But I also know that that means that sometimes I'll try to outthink myself. But I'm stronger than that.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why, but today feels like a conversation about not overthinking all the things that I'm thinking and doing. And maybe I need to refocus on doing and stop thinking because I I do these very rote, simple things in my frame for what I do at the office. So I always got at least two things that I'm thinking about
Mm-hmm.
at any given time. So I've had time to think about the things that you and I talk about, the things that I've written down that I talk about are my values and how those might be interconnected. But I I consume my physical body's time and space so much with other things that I'm not expounding upon the thoughts that are running through my head all day long.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a split personality almost. Oh, that's a wild thought.
I mean, once again, that's something that we're not trying to just obliterate your split personality. We want to give voice to it and say, like, this is something that
Yeah,
happens. This is a way that I think sometimes. This is something that exists. What can I do to put myself in a situation where I am better able to combat those thoughts that other person has, because they're not in my best interest. And that's, once again, that's just having that strong foundation of what moves you in the direction where you want to be going. And as long as you have that, you're not going to be you're once you get into that, you're not going to be shaken so easily by those thoughts. They're not going to just knock you off so easy.
yeah, yeah. And that makes sense. It's I need to close the doors to the voices that are not helping me and um, not who I want to be. And I say that in the context of the thoughts that are running through my head, right? It's like a hallway of this, that, and the other, of all these different vignettes of different things happening, and closing the door on the ones that are superfluous is something that I need to manage a bit better.
So I think that's something that you definitely need to keep in mind. But before we run too short on time, I want to we need to figure out where you want to get by the end of this 9 weeks, and we need to kind of knuckle down a little bit because we're the halfway point already. And
Yeah,
I want to be able to help you make as much progress as we can together, so you feel confident in addressing the next part on your own. um or I mean, I'm not saying that I would, of course I'd continue with you if you want to do another 9 weeks or whatever, but I want you to feel like you got as much value out of this as we possibly could. So um
yeah,
you're dealing with a big issue, but it's it is I'm not going to say it's easily accomplished, but it is accomplishable in the time frame we have. But you have to take action. You have to stop shooting yourself in the foot and making excuses for why the thing didn't get done. Like this, you have to remember, this is all for you. It's all for your growth. I'm going to be here for you whether you get it done or not, but I want you to win. I want you to have all the success in the world. So I want you to take the opportunities that you're given and just jump on them, and realizing that the worst thing that could happen is you have to try again.
yeah,
I'm not asking you to do anything that's going to blow up your life or ruin your job, or I'm asking you to do things that
no,
are likely like even in some of the worst scenarios, still going to improve your life long term. But maybe it might cause some awkwardness in the office, or it might be a hard conversation. So instead of creating all these other obstacles around them, just do them, get it out of the way, and then start reaping the benefits.
Yeah. I mean, that's, I like to think that I recognize um, recognize good opportunities and I take them. I know that's not always the case, right? But I need to get out of my head is what I need to do.
I think that whenever it's opportunities for development or personal growth, I feel like you have trouble accepting the good that's gonna come out of it. You want to analyze and think about all the different possibilities that might happen. And I'm not going to say that you never do it, but you delay until tomorrow what should be done until today.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I'm like, I talked yesterday about communicating like it's your last day on earth. Like, if you put off these conversations, you're going to be remembered as somebody who is not the full version of yourself. I don't want that for you. I want people to know and love Drew like in all his glory, versus this watered down version who is titrating himself down for even his wife, because he's afraid what he's bringing to the table isn't valuable. It is. It is valuable. It is worthy. You are valuable. You are worthy. You don't have to do that. But you have to believe it for it to start taking effect. You have to change your mindset. You have to commit to no longer listening to that voice that is telling you you're not good enough. And the easiest way to commit is to take action. So just not think, just do. How many times did you get from behind your desk this week?
A lot. I don't know that I kept count this week.
And so you were
know
doing
that,
it with no agenda other than to go help teammates and build relationships.
yeah.
That's awesome. That if you can't count, that's fucking amazing. That's huge growth. Yeah, I mean, you understand that, right? That's something that 2 weeks ago you weren't doing at all. You were waiting until they were frustrated, upset, there was a problem, and they came to you. Are you noticing a decrease in the amount of emails you're getting of frustrated people who are having problems on the back end? It might not happen yet, but it'd be great if it was.
Yeah, and I don't. I don't know. That varies from week to week, right? There's weeks where there's nothing and it's great, and then there's days where it's just all the people, all the things, all at the same time. And that was Tuesday, but yesterday and yesterday was a disaster as well because I was dealing with outside consultants. Different ball game, but
So what
Here's a better metric. Whenever you're going out and helping people and giving them input feedback without being asked to do so. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay.
And
yeah,
I can hear you fine.
Okay.
And whenever you're doing that without being prompted to do so, what is the feedback you're getting whenever you're interacting with these people? Are they like glad to have your help? Do they seem put out? Are people like, oh man, thanks, you've been really helpful? Like, what's
I mean, most people are always glad when I help them. Not everyone, but most.
right?
It's like the girl that went over to check on yesterday was not the most pleasant individual. Not that she was bad. It's just like there are people like that.
Well, and also, like, remember, like, don't hold, like, try not to hold grudges on people based off of one interaction. Like, she may have just been in a bad way. She may have already been like at her limit with that software, whatever. So don't write her off as somebody that you're not going to go help again. Just keep facing those situations with a great attitude and with service and love in your heart, and those people are going to be won over. Like, they are going to be, eventually they're going to be fans of Drew, and they're going to be saying like, "Man, I want this guy on my team for everything. I want to report to him for this thing. I want him to be my my right hand on this thing, because his attitude is unstoppable and he is so helpful."
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I get that a lot from people, particularly my two principals, my studio director, when they were handing out bonuses yesterday. They said not quite that, but something very similar, and expressing their gratefulness for me being part of the team and just everything that I do and all the things, like those people do when they're handing out bonuses. But
Did you get a sweet bonus?
Just around 9% before taxes. So yeah, I'd say that's decent.
Yeah,
It's more like 5% after taxes, but
that sucks.
it's taxed at like 30 something percent.
Damn.
Yeah, really sucks because I open the letters and they're just letters, right? It's auto drafts. So Courtney was like, "Oh my god," and lost her mind. She was like, "That's almost half of what I made this year."
Maybe you should, spend a little more time at home so we can communicate, Courtney. I'm not gonna say it. I mean, I actually did say it, but I'm not gonna say it again.
That's a tenuous conversation.
Yeah, that's why I was just like, how much money do you bring in?
Part of what I love about Courtney is her passion for playing music and her passion for teaching kids how to play music. She is damn good at that, and does not. She's never going to get fiscally rewarded for doing those things. So that's a different conversation, and part of the reason that she stayed at home and took care of the kids and I stayed at work, because she was never going to potentially make what I could make.
Right.
And where I'm headed at this point. And I don't know. Hopefully there's a review this year that's supposed to happen at some point, and salary adjustments and all that business, but I don't know what that looks like. So
Well, so like, what would you say that a pretty solid goal for you in this 9 weeks is to at least confidently own the fact that you are struggling with accepting your voice?
what do you mean a goal?
Like, so I mean, something for us to work towards for the next 4 weeks, or the next 5 weeks. I was like, I wasn't sure if I was counting the one that we're in or not. Anyways, the next 5 weeks to try to come away with some actionable item that we were able to get to, and you walk away knowing like we accomplished that, and that's a good place for me
Good.
to start
Yeah,
developing.
yeah, yeah. I know what. I'm sorry. How is that a goal? Let me rephrase that. How is that a goal?
How is that a
What
goal?
is
Like
what is the goal? I guess.
for me, in what I'm trying to help you do, self acceptance is where we're trying to get at. Like if we can get you, and the main obstacle you're dealing with is not accepting the value of your voice. Like that's something that you're struggling with, and you're fighting the fact that you are even struggling with it. If we can get you
Yeah,
to a point where you've given voice to it, it's something you struggle with, it's something that you've embraced, that's whenever you are able to start growing. Until you are able to name the problem and and give it the validity that it is, you can't move
yeah,
past it.
yeah.
So I because
No,
I we in 5 weeks it'll be hard to get any further than that.
yeah. No, I understand that, and I think that's probably a good goal. I'm uh, I'm not sure that I understand what that looks like, but I'm I'm sure that you have a better understanding of that than
I
I do.
do. I do.
So
I'm pretty sure that you accepting your voice in any way, shape, or form is not something that you can really see in your mind right now. That's not
uh-uh.
really, yeah. So
Nope.
I want to change that mentality. Like if we can, for one, change the conversation happening in your mind. I mean, just 30%, like to where you're just like 30% more positive, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to start to accept your voice and start to accept your value. And that's what we're going to try to work towards.
Okay. I
I
I
mean, unless you have something else that is you feel is more pressing than that.
nah. I think that's a really good one because I I I feel like I have a lot of skills and a lot of value, but I don't apply myself, and I'm not sure exactly what that's about. And I think that it is related to this and me not being confident in what I have to offer or what I have to say. That's a weird thought.
So today, or before next Tuesday or whatever, next Monday or Tuesday, the homework is to finish the homework you haven't finished up to this point. But
Yep.
now, well, this is something that we would have gotten to earlier if our sessions were longer, if we went deeper, is now I want you to like try to think back to your childhood and where you might have started to hear that your voice was not important. Like I'm sure maybe maybe your dad was the kind of person who said like those bloviated blowhards, all they ever do is talk so much, and gave you the impression that people who talk too much didn't have any value, or
Well,
whatever.
it was quite the opposite, and I have a fairly good understanding of where that comes from.
Good. So I want you to put that on paper, and then just do the other stuff. Like, well, that's going to be it, and then continue with the things that we've been doing, getting out from behind your desk, or, on purpose, and going out to build relationships. I'm already really happy with the progress that like you've gained there. It was, to me, something that seems so simple from the outside, but having been in the office situation myself as an ADHD person, I know how hard it is to separate from the work and go engage, because you feel like there's too much to do. It's like there's just too much to do, too much. But you are acting, you're going upstream to like create solutions for this work that comes for you later. Like you're doing yourself a great service, and then also you're building those relationships, which are going to make it easier for you to work with people and to succeed at your job. So I mean, it really is like a fourfold solution that is like you applied it within 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I don't think you're going to see the power of it for 3 to 6 months to where you're going to, well, like, I'll just text you one day and be like, hey, think back to where you were last December and how different is it to go into work now than it was before? Like, and you'll say like, I really am enjoying it now. Like, like all the people I work with, like they get me more than I ever thought they would. We actually understand each other when we communicate. I'm not just getting hate emails all the time. Like, it's, people we're working together to find solutions before the problems happen. And that's like, that to me is really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll be excited when I get there.
I'm usually that way too.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll be excited when I get there.
Real quick, I'm going to just ask you the questions that we talked about, like testimonial wise, because like I told you, I'm trying to rock this this next 24 days out, and get it.
Yeah.
Like the clock is ticking. So, all I want to know is just in a couple sentences, where were you when we started this process? Like, just in your own words, why did you come to me?
I wasn't comfortable with how my interactions happened with people, and I think that's more of a lack of participation on my part, right? And it was not clear to me why that was a thing. And I think that's one of the things that you have helped me to understand and see better, is that my struggle with my own voice and my value in what I have to say, like that's huge for me, because I do that and I'm just in my head and I'm devaluing myself all the time. But I didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to. I'm starting to understand that the thoughts and the processes that I have can be impactful in ways that I didn't imagine.
Absolutely.
So I'm extremely grateful that we're doing this, because, like I said earlier, my default is just that little skeptical devil in my head, just naysaying. And to some extent, yeah, it's helpful to have when you're in the industry that I'm in, because we're looking to make things better. But
I mean, doubt and criticism is far different than beating yourself up and tearing yourself down. Right.
Right. Doing it professionally in a setting that's related to things that need that kind of an attitude is one thing. Doing it personally to myself is wildly different.
Well, I mean, and even to yourself, doubt is essential for growth. It's okay to ask yourself questions of why and how and am I doing it well enough? It's just turning those things into the cyclical thought of I'm not doing it good enough. I'm never going to do it good enough. Why am I even trying? Like that's what we had to get out of.
Right. It's and I don't ask it the way you just did, for sure, in my head. Like it's more of a, well, that's dumb. That won't work. Nobody's gonna believe that. Well, that's ignorant, and that's not really what I do at work.
Yeah.
So
So with the tools I've given you so far, if you were fully implementing them at this point, how big of a difference do you think that your mind frame would be? Your mindset, that's what I was looking for.
big enough that I'm not certain, because I have an idea of what that looks like, but I don't have a full picture of what it looks like, because I know the things that I know and the things that I believe and the things that I can help people with. Like, I can help a lot of people with a lot of different things, but I don't at times. And it's because I don't believe in myself, or I'm just naysaying myself. And I think there's huge improvements and huge opportunities to be had to be more effective in my relationships and my work setting, and just,
I mean, and
there's a lot.
we're only halfway through a 9-week program, and you're starting to see the potential amount of gain that there is for you. That there is so much growth to be had if we, stick to the program and finish through, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm super, dude. I'm so excited for you. Like I love seeing you grow. I just, like I just told you, I'm so proud of the way that you've implemented it at work already, and how easily that you just needed somebody from the outside to say, why aren't you doing this? And you took it and you were like, I don't know, let's do it. And it's been immediate. It's been immediate improvement. You were like, I'm telling you, 2-3 months down the road, your people are going to be saying like, I don't know what changed in you, but man, you are such a joy to work with now. Whenever on the reverse, you were kind of a person that people kind of were afraid to come to with their problems.
That makes me sad. I hope people aren't afraid to come to me, but yeah, I can see that maybe.
Yeah. And that's, and once again, we're all about having grace for our past self. Like we may have known better, but we didn't do better, but that's okay because we know better now and we're doing better now. Like
Yeah.
once you make that change, you if you don't forgive yourself back then, that's still you. That's still you. You're just not forgiving yourself. So forgiving yourself back then is accepting yourself now. It's like you can't do one without the other. You have to say it's okay that you did that, but now we know better and we're going to do better. I'm going to let you go though, because I have to prepare for another meeting today. Very big meeting. Super excited. Not like I'm super excited. Like something big is in the pipe that is like I haven't told anybody else about it, but it's called the Green Book Global. It's a have you ever heard of the Green Book, like back in the 50s? Like, so it was for Black people to travel across the United States and gave them.
My God, yes.
So
I'm sorry. Yes, I have heard of that.
That's totally cool. And so this guy, he made a Green Book Global digital website. It's the first like all Black travel website, and he needs some help blowing his site up. And I've got plans for it, and we're we've had a couple of conversations already. Super excited. Like this is something where there's a lot of money to be made here, and I might be part of it. Like this could be life changing. So super excited.
That would be phenomenal. I've heard of that, and I it's not as close to my heart as it may be to yours.
Yes.
For a variety of reasons. But yeah, that's awesome.
All right,
That is
man.
a great opportunity.
I will let you get back to work. I'll send you. I'll just type up a quick thing about what your homework is today. Also,
Okay.
I didn't say this, but make sure to re-engage in that conversation with Courtney. 5 minutes. That's all it takes to just make sure that you said the thing that you meant to
Might take
say.
less.
It might. And if she doesn't, like, as long as you know that you covered all your bases and you said all the things, it's okay if she doesn't respond right now. It's okay if she doesn't have anything to give back. Know that she heard it and she's processing it, and
Yep.
you know, she'll have your back.
She may be processing it, but I may not see that until January.
All right, brother. Take care of yourself. Have a great day.
All right.
Peace.
Later, man.